All right. Good morning, PT on Ice. I think we are open and awake, open for business this morning. It is early today. It's a little earlier than my typical hour. It's 7 a.m. Eastern Time. My name is Mike Eisenhart. I am the lead on the APHPT series of courses at ICE and the Population Health Prevention and Health Promotion division of things. So I'm on this morning early because I've got a really, really busy day. And unfortunately, the 8:30 time slot just wasn't going to work for me. So for the East Coasters that are jumping on, hey Kristen, hey Mark, good to see you. I'm going to just kind of jump right in because I got to get to the next thing this morning, and unfortunately 8:30 just wasn't going to do it. So let me start the watch so we stay on track with 15 minutes. So this morning I'm going to kind of, I think, throw out there an easy one. It's a softball in my opinion. But it is one that we got to think about a little bit. So the long story short of it is that today, for those who don't know, today is the Boston Marathon. Today is tax day. Today in Boston is Patriots Day. That's what they call it. It's observed on Monday. And there's just a lot going on. We have some athletes that are up there who are participating in the race. We've been sending athletes there for a lot of years, and it's a big deal. You know, I mean, it's a huge accomplishment to qualify. It's an amazing experience. There's nothing quite like it if you've never been there or seen it or kind of like gone, down Boylston and seen like the final shoot. It obviously was made even bigger recently when it was sort of the subject of a movie because of a terrorist act. And I mean, there's just so much history there. And today is sort of a big culmination of all those things. So with that in mind, I kind of got thinking about, hey, like what's the meaning of all of this? And, sort of like what's the deeper question? And why do we, make such a big deal out of this particular day? And, and why does it sort of touch me as much as it does? So take that and then take the other side of the context. Months ago, I'm not even sure who it was, but months ago, I made a comment on one of these podcasts, one of the ICE, Monday with Pop, and somebody responded back and said, boy, that sounds a lot like the book Atomic Habits. And I guess I must have been talking about behavior change of some kind. And so I had never heard of that book. And so I checked it out. And it's been kind of sitting in my Audible account now for, 2 or 3 months. And I listened to a little bit of it one time in the car. And then I just kind of went on to the next thing and never picked it up. And so this past weekend, I was doing a project outside. And I just popped, it on and started listening. And it's a really, really great book. And at one point, he poses a question. I think that the reason why I like the book is because it's very approachable and very practical, which is something that I don't consider myself to be, right? Like I tend to sort of see these big connections, but I don't often, boil it down to something that you can do right now. And I think this guy really does that. But one of the things that I liked was that he started kind of talking about the difference between movement and action. And I really like that. And so that's where I stole the title from this morning. But, those couple of things swirling around in my head, all while building a rock wall. That's what I was doing. If anyone's ever built a rock wall, it is slow and kind of tedious. It's one of those like flow state activities. You start kind of, getting into it and you just kind of figuring out a puzzle and you want the pieces to fit right. It's heavy and it's hard work and your back is tired by the end of the day and maybe even sore. But you've got plenty of time to think and you're processing your thoughts and you're kind of in this, flow potential. So those three things are happening over the weekend. And it just dawned on me that maybe there's something there. And I guess I'm going to specifically speak to the PTs now, but maybe it's PTOT and all conservative care. Because we often talk about the fact that we are like movement specialists or movement, experts of some kind. And we've kind of, jumped on that as the idea. And one of the questions this guy poses, which I think is really good, is do you want to really be about movement or do you want to be about action? And the concept being that movement is really just anything that creates volitional activity, right? Like you could classify anything as movement toward your goals. And he's really talking about, action and having kind of like a much more directed movement. So it's basically this idea of, movement is a prerequisite. It's critical, but if you don't know where you're going, you don't have that kind of North Star, or that, that compass or whatever that you're following, that plan, will you ever actually get there, or will you just spend a lot of time moving? And I really like that because I feel like that aligns very closely with what we try to kind of talk about in the APHPT side of the world, right? In some of these conservative care circles, we're talking about upstream solutions. We're not talking about just what can you do, capacities. We're talking really about solutions. What's the specific purpose of it? And I feel like that, coupled with this past weekend, or this coming Monday, excuse me. So if you think about the Boston Marathon, what's the purpose of it? I guess you could say, well, it's a chance for some athletes to go out and show how good they are. Okay, maybe. There's definitely pretty rigorous qualification standards, and depending on your age group and your gender, it can be really hard to get into. It's a celebration on one hand, right? So certainly it's a celebration of, a lot of different things, one of which is the towns that it goes through. It's a point-to-point marathon. So if you don't know anything about Boston Marathon, it starts in one point and it kind of ends up in Boston, 26 miles away. But you go through town after town after town. It's kind of like this roving party. And of course, it's a chance to challenge yourself, without a doubt, and there's a whole lot of people moving. But the key is that they're really moving in a very specific direction. And if they get off course, obviously their day is very, very different. I think there's a lot there. I think there's a lot we can learn from that. I think a lot of us lose sight of exactly what problem we're trying to solve. Exactly what we're selling in the marketplace. There's no doubt at the Boston Marathon, they are selling achievement. They are selling the idea of, I cross the finish line and I get an amazing accomplishment to do so. They're certainly celebrating fitness in many ways. There's a lot of history there. Certainly you can find the pictures of, I forget her name, but the first woman to jump on the course. And, there's such a really amazing history there. And she the director tried to throw her off the course, and then other guys kind of stepped in and she was able to complete it. And it's a really, really powerful story. But all of that still comes as kind of components with this idea that they are moving from point A to point B, and they have a very specific course that they are on. And so I think that begs the question for us. When we say that we are movement experts and movement specialists, and I say this a little bit tongue-in-cheek, are we just talking about the capacity to do something, or are we really talking about the application to do that same thing? Are we really talking about what that thing allows us to do, the functionality of it? And I think sometimes we're not. I think sometimes we're losing sight of exactly how powerful it is to say, hey, I can take whatever you can do currently and I can get it on a course that it's going to be that much more powerful. So this weekend here I am kind of putting stones in place, and slowly and steadily, and this is going to be a project that probably lasts me all summer. It's just one of those, like, you don't do it all in one day. It's just not the kind of thing you can do all in one day. But it gives you this ability to really think and mess and tinker, but you know what it's going to be when it's over, right? You know it's going to be a rock wall, and you kind of have a vision. And many times I have to step back and go, am I on the right track? Am I following the right path? Am I bending it too much here? But we're still just using that idea of kind of tinkering through on a very specific direction. And so I think the challenge for us, especially when it comes to this conservative care, upstream approach, the challenge for us is to have that level of clarity. Is to say, am I really focused on, as Allie defined a few, weeks back, she said, look, the important thing to remember about population health is that it's the outcomes of the group, right? It's not just getting people healthier. Like, getting people healthier is not necessarily population health. You might be promoting health, like you can do this on your own. Promoting health is kind of like self-efficacy in health, right? You might be practicing upstream to do so, and we might call that prevention. But population health is not just the health of the group; it's the distribution of the health in the group, and the outcomes of that group. And I feel like sometimes we lose that, and I guess I want to just kind of bring that around. And I guess I would like for us to think about it and maybe spend some time. Monday is a really good time to do it. A tax day is a really good time to do it, right? Like taxes are due today. Everybody's kind of had a moment now, like collectively as a society, we have a moment where we're going to have to stop now and think. Am I going to do something different this coming year? Should I have done something different last year? It's a moment. It's a painful moment for some of us. You got to write a check to the government. You're like, what have they done to earn it? I feel like I earned this. Why am I giving it away? There's certainly some of that. But if nothing else, it's a pause. And that pause is incredibly powerful because it shakes up our thoughts and our belief systems, and it allows us now to kind of explore different avenues and thoughts. And it allows us to kind of ask the question, why am I really doing this? Because if I understand exactly where I'm going and exactly why I'm doing it, the how really becomes the game, the solution itself. And then can we take that to the marketplace? Can we have that same conversation today with people? Tell me about, it's tax day, everybody grumbles about that or whatever, or it's Boston Marathon Day and everybody's excited about that if you have runners at all. And it's a conversation point, but what we don't ask is, hey, would you do anything different this year? You're at this inflection point right now. Looking back, it's very clear, it's in front of your face. Would you have done anything different? Would you do anything different going forward? Are you on the same course? Should you be on this course? Is there a course correction you might need? So I think I'm going to leave it there. I don't want to dive into it too much more detail. I mean, I've got a couple more minutes here, but I think that it's an incredibly important question. Are we moving, or are we really going on a specific path? Are we acting? Are we leveraging whatever it is we know, our skills, to solve problems? Now, of course, I'll tell you solve problems in the marketplace, but it doesn't have to necessarily be in the marketplace, right? It can be anywhere. But the idea is are you actually starting the day with, I have a problem that needs a solution, and I'm trying to find the most elegant and effective solution. Even better if it's simple, effective, and elegant. But I'm still trying to find a solution. That's an action. It comes with a plan, and that plan is what kind of gets us going. So that's the thing about. I see your comment. Is that an Xbox manager fraud? Remember, Alan, I have kids, and that's probably a very old one because they don't spend a whole lot of time on it. Yeah, I wouldn't really know much what to do with it. It's also I don't know if you see my artwork here. These are I have a whole wall of kid paintings in this house. All right, I'm going to leave it there. It's Monday. It's only Monday. My action today, just so you're aware. My action is I'm going to the local school. There's a school system here who's invited me in to talk about rugby. Yeah. So that's an action, right? There's a plan. There's a method to that madness. There's always a method to that madness, right? I'm going to go in and I'm going to talk with 6th, 7th, and 8th graders today about playing rugby. Why? Because I believe that's an easy vehicle to get them starting to actually improve their movement skills and habits. Not a hard thing to do at all if we do it right. Okay, very good. So I don't know what your version of that is today. Oh, and just so you're aware, for those of you who always ask the question of how do you get paid to do this particular one, I don't get paid to do this one. This is just straight up marketing. I'm going to go out there just like I would visit, some people might visit a doctor's office. I might visit a business. Today I'm going to visit a place where the people are. 40 or 50 or 100 6th, 7th, and 8th graders, and I'm going to have their attention, and we're going to talk about why moving your body is a good thing, and why it can be done in a very fun way, and in this particular way, something they've never done before. All right, have a great rest of the day. Have a good week. It's only Monday. Think about your action. What is your action? Why do you exist? And are you actually trudging forward each day toward some goal? Will it be a beautiful stone wall when you're done? Or will it be just sort of a directionless, rudderless kind of bouncing around and a lot of movement in between? Have a great rest of the day. Have a good week. It's only Monday. Make it count.
Hey, thanks for tuning in to the PT on Ice Daily Show. If you enjoyed this content, head on over to iTunes and leave us a review. And be sure to check us out on Facebook and Instagram at the Institute of Clinical Excellence. If you're interested in getting plugged into more ICE content on a weekly basis while earning CEUs from home, check out our virtual ICE online mentorship program at ptonice.com. While you're there, sign up for our Hump Day Hustling newsletter for a free email every Wednesday morning with our top 5 research articles and social media posts that we think are worth reading. Head over to ptonice.com and scroll to the bottom of the page to sign up.